Welcome to How to Decorate from Ballard Designs, a weekly podcast all about the trials and triumphs of decorating and redecorating your home. I'm Caroline, I'm on the marketing team.
And I'm Taryn, and I'm a product designer.
I'm Liz, I head up the creative team.
We're your hosts. Join the expert team at Ballard Designs for tips, tricks, and tales from interior designers, stylists, and other talents in the design world.
Plus, we'll answer your decorating dilemmas at the end of each episode.
We love answering your questions, so don't forget to email us at podcast@ballarddesigns.net.
Now, on with the show. Okay, our guest today is one of my first bosses, great friend of mine. We share the same birthday. You used to be the homes editor at Southern Living magazine. You now have your own decorating business. You are a writer, editor, and you've also got an e-commerce shop, El Shoppo. Zoe Gowen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Caroline, my fellow Cancer number one intern.
We have been number one intern.
You definitely have the best shoes.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I vividly remember that.
Thank
Working
you.
in the basement together.
I know. It was okay. I feel like that was a lot of trauma bonding for the whole Southern Progress team. Okay, so Zoe was one of the editors on the team I was on. And of course, I started in 2009. So the whole 6 months leading up to me being a lowly intern, I feel like there were hundreds of layoffs. And
That sounds about right.
so I got way too much responsibility than I
that's
needed.
Great. You were.
No, it was good. I just was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope,
Y'all need help.
Yeah, we did need help. I'm always like, I need help. Now I just don't even tell people anymore. But no, that was a wild time.
I know.
It's still pretty wild in that world.
Yes. Yeah. But I've been trying to get you on the show for a very long time. So every time I even talk to you, I'm like, oh, you gotta have you here, but now you're here in person.
I'm here. You found me.
Yeah.
I can be hard to find. I'm sorry. I try not to be.
Excited. We're gonna go a little bit chronologically. I thought since you were a homes editor for so long, that is a unique perspective on homes and decoration. And so I thought we could start there, and then we can kind of talk about your current endeavors and projects. And so why don't we start at Southern Living? You were the homes editor for many years. What did that teach you about homes? Because Southern Living, it's a very specific perspective.
It is. It taught me a lot. And then scouting for Southern Living in particular, the South is a pretty vast region. So I was always kind of looking for the different primary example of each region within the South. So that typical, and that kind of made my job easier. And I thought it was giving a voice to all the different voices of architecture and homes in the South. So I would be looking for a Georgian house in Nashville, a bungalow in Jackson, Mississippi, or Oxford, waterfront cottages in the Panhandle in Florida and Alabama. That was kind of my niche. I tried to keep it as primary source architecturally related, because then I feel like there's so many different derivatives of architecture through the years. So if I could at least find the bones of a pure house, and the decorating could kind of be more fun on the inside, was my take. Yeah. And then it was kind of keeping that architectural roots alive.
I always thought that it would be a really hard job, because you only have, unlike most shelter magazines where you can feature 4 to 5 different projects in a house, Southern Living, you only get really 6-10 pages or something. So
you would get, you got more than that. So you would get 8 to 10 pages in the well, which would be an 8 to 10 page feature typically. And then you'd have a 15-page section, which the section stories, those are deceptive. They're actually the hardest ones, because those are the ones where you have to really pull all the lessons out. You have to have all this packaging and this story planning. Yeah. Whereas the features are generally just these big, beautiful rooms. And then you can just do running copy and all these, tell the story of Caroline and her beautiful Atlanta bungalow.
So then the feature, you would have one home feature per issue, or
pretty much. And then unless it was a special season where homes were really relevant. So usually the March issue would be a big home push, because of all the spring cleaning. So we'd have 2 or 3. And then we would do a lot of service stories. So one I did was all about Southern colors and things. So those paint.
Because that's hard. You're basically having to narrow it down to under 20 houses per year. No?
Yeah, it is pretty hard. Yeah, you get pitched a lot. But yeah, so I was kind of always overwhelmed by which was great, by how many submissions we have.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I just kind of came up with those nuts and bolts that it had to feel truly Southern no matter what. And then architecture was just an easy overlay to put on that. And then you would have to have homeowners be involved, because that was the fun part about Southern living, is that it has the whole storytelling background. So you had to have these storytellers that were generally the homeowner. Not that the decorator and the architect weren't also great voices, but you really wanted those real people and what they wanted in their house and how they lived in their house. And then I always kind of like to take any pretentiousness out of decorating. So try and make it funny, at least.
Yeah.
And like nothing ever goes according to plan. So if you think everything's going to go according to plan, you're just delusional. So in the magazine, I try to kind of get that out at the front.
Mm-hmm. Like, what's an example?
Like a homeowner would say that they always knew that they wanted a purple dining room, and that was like all they knew. And then they'd have these meltdowns about finding the purple colors, and it just went on and on. All these different color samples for like days and days. I just felt like that made things more relevant to people. Decorating's not easy. It's really a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Especially paint.
Yeah.
Which there was a big focus on paint because that was such a universal element. But you can't tell somebody like, yes, paint your whole house Benjamin Moore White Dove because it worked for me. It's probably not going to work for your townhouse in Alexandria that's filled with gray light and whatnot. And then you're going to be really mad.
Oh my God. Is that not like the most, I don't know, that's just the misconception about paint. People think that
translates no matter where.
That it translates.
but it's just, this is the one color. And it frustrates me like crazy.
Oh, it still frustrates me.
Yeah.
But it's like that everywhere. There's like no one size fits all.
Right.
And if the one size fits all is working, you're lying to yourself.
We get so many questions like, what is the paint color on the spread of the,
on page 42.
Yeah. And it drives me insane because I'm like, you do realize that image was lit by photographs. Then it was, photographed, and it was photoshopped within an inch of its life. And then it was printed on paper by a printer. So like,
so
this
many
bears
variables
no
in
resemblance
between.
to the actual paint color. So please just don't even.
Yeah.
We can't say that.
People still track me down and they're like, can you give me the paint color that was in that story you wrote for Southern Living in 2015, like page 36? And I'm like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
Like the office manager, Nella, will still be like, can you just help them? And I'm like, no, like I don't even know where my files are anymore. But
really
I can give them a guess.
Yeah.
I know.
You're better off just taking the magazine to the paint store and having them like color match it, probably.
I do that kind of stuff. I love the guys at the paint store.
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
agree.
Anyway, off topic, of course.
No, but paint's tricky.
Mm-hmm. Were there any things that what were some things that you learned while you were decorating? Anything that changed the way that you did your own house while you were there?
Sorry, so while I was at Southern Living?
Just seeing and absorbing homes all day long, looking at people's homes, visiting beautiful spaces. How did that change the way you were decorating in your own house?
For sure. Yes, it did change me. I think that it made me really averse to trends because those cycle in and out so quickly. It also made me really want a personal house, like a house that felt like me, because I would go in a lot of houses that didn't feel like their homeowners. And that always kind of made me sad. I think you should feel really comfortable in your house. And it should be a reflection of you.
Could you tell, through their body language, if they weren't comfortable in your house? Did they look uncomfortable, or did you just think this has no
They're just like, don't go sit in there.
Well, no, when you go in a house and you're like, this doesn't feel lived in. And I'm not saying I want a dirty house, but but you need to have some things, that feel like you. Like you need to have some photographs, or you need to have. I travel a lot and I never have enough room. So I tend to buy paintings or jewelry. So there's a lot of that, or textiles. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff in my house. And there's things from India, and then there's things from New Mexico, but it all kind of works because it's just whatever I liked when I was there. So I would say my house definitely feels like me. And I bet y'all's houses feel like you. And I think that and everybody in this room, I think, is pretty creative. But I think people should feel empowered to make their houses feel like them. And I do feel strongly that that's the role of a decorator and an architect and whoever you hire, that you need to sift through these people's things. And also, like, I'm not trying to open up Pandora's box and say that everything deserves to be shown.
Right.
But like, you do want your people's things out and kind of like build rooms around them.
Right. That is an interesting, I think, thing that most people don't realize is if you do have a family heirloom or something, you can make anything work. You can make anything look great. Now, you have to kind of start with that. You can't just shove anything into a room. But like if you have your grandmother's dining room table and you're like, oh, this isn't what I would pick, but I can't get rid of it because it was my grandmother's. Like a great decorator can make that.
Yeah, and should want to make that work for you. But also, like, you have to be open. Like, it might need to be painted. And some people aren't open to that. So that's like really kind of a struggle. But I would say I like houses that really feel like homes. That really feel like the people, like somebody lives in there. Sometimes I would just go in and I'm like, this is so sad. Like, this is this huge place and like nothing's out of place. And like, I know did the decorator install this yesterday? What's happening? And then I'm like, whoa, no, like they've been selling this for 3 years. People need to really live in their house, I would say. And then I made this mistake myself in my house. I've really quieted down all the color and pattern. Even though there's a whole lot of pattern in it and color, it's really pretty soft now. And I mean, the exterior of my house is pretty insane looking.
What, with the green?
Yeah.
Wait, you're going to describe it because, we don't know what it looks like.
You saw on her, did you see on her website, the green cottage?
Yes.
It's green and white stripe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sort of looks like.
It's on our website.
I don't think it looks insane.
It probably does on the street it's on, but somebody ripped it off. It's in Mobile now too.
Oh,
like the exact house.
Okay.
I need to send the listing. But yeah, so my house is super colorful on the outside and not quite that colorful on the inside anymore. It's because living in deep, crazy color was starting to make me crazy.
You could feel it.
Yeah, especially during COVID when I was in it all the time. Like I was never actually in my house until COVID. And then like the rest of the world, I really undid a lot of things I'd done.
Like what?
I had these really heavy draperies that I had done as an experiment at Southern Living. So it was the Rose Cummings leopard print that was pink and green that I'd found like 60 yards of it at an estate sale. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make my own like pelmets and do this whole story. And then they were great until one day I was like, these are so heavy. I'm just going to rip them down. So right now, and I haven't replaced them. So right now, it kind of looks like a dorm room, maybe like a step above. But yeah, I got rid of anything like that. And I had that Schumacher citrus garden. And I woke up and I couldn't look at that anymore. So I got rid of that because it was like such an affront when you walked in the door. But at the time, it was just cheery and bright. I had an orange dining room for a while. Now it's like a pale blue gray. Actually, that's a good fail. I really was specific. I was like, I want it to look like the inside of a cucumber. Like I wanted it to be that like light green. And when I say I did 200 paint samples and failed, I did 200 paint samples and then wimped out and it's just pale blue.
So you just couldn't find the right color that you liked?
Or it just wasn't working. The room's in the middle of the house, screen porch off it. So it's like really gray. And then I was like, this pale green, like kind of makes me look real sickly and like, it's not going to make anybody look good. So it's blue.
So where did the like inside of a cucumber idea come from?
I just saw it and I was like, that's a really pretty color. But like try and match that. It's really hard. And the guys at the paint store were like, she's so nuts.
Did you bring slices of cucumber?
No, but I probably should have. But I was like, can't you see it? I had them at my house, but I never took them to the paint store. And I was like, wouldn't it be? I think it was really hot outside, and I was like, wouldn't that be like a great color?
Oh yeah, it feels so
it
good.
does, like with outside, with your green on the outside, maybe it could work. But I guess in the middle of the house, that is tricky. Yeah, because you get such indirect light.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we got that complaint that our oatmeal linen didn't look like oatmeal and someone had put a pile of oatmeal on one of our fabrics on a Louis chair?
I've never heard this story.
Louis with our oatmeal linen on it. This was many, many, many years ago.
Oh my God.
And then it was dried oats, just a pile of them on. They're like, this does not match oatmeal.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Fantastic.
People are so literal. I can be really literal, but
that's why I asked if you like brought the cucumber because we're like,
God, this is so gonna do that. I'm gonna start sending all of the merchants like, this is sage. Here's a piece of sage. You're right. This is not sage. Amy. No, I'm kidding. That would be so annoying.
be so annoying.
I mean, sometimes you just got to show people.
Okay, so
naming colors is hard.
oh,
Dude,
naming
y'all were
colors is
just
hard.
naming colors
really?
recently.
Y'all
and-
can call me. I feel like the OPI nail color, that would be like one of my dream
Oh, no,
jobs.
that's fun. That's like adding a little chic kind of like not
Like a twist,
Yeah, this is like, what color do you? How would you describe this green?
Yeah.
And like everyone all like bickering about it because we're like, I don't know. That seems like a that's
That's
like
not tangerine. Tangerine has more red in it. Or like, you know.
we were fighting about
Yeah.
olive because olive goes really brown, like
Yeah.
a true olive.
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
but we wanted to go green, not brown. So anyway.
No, that's hard. And
And
I
then
don't think,
sage,
I'm
oof.
wondering, I don't think the same person sees color the same.
Oh no,
I think everybody
No.
sees it differently. Like spicy.
yes.
Or like
Spicy?
spice. Supposedly, I wrote a big
Yeah.
story about these people that, as an intern, that chase pepper festivals and all the like queso. But anyway, apparently no two people taste spice the same. Everybody has a different spice scale.
Interesting. Well, you know, they do say that like there's like a level of seeing color that's like up here, but then like most people see color like I'm not
In
going
a
to
different
describe,
range.
but like some
Above her
people
head.
see
Yeah.
like 150 colors, and then some people see like 32 or something.
Oh, really?
And
I
so
probably
there's
see
just like,
152.
You know, there's just a really big range of how you see color. I don't know. Again, I'm not doing a very good job describing that because I'm not a scientist, but
I feel like Liz
Yeah.
knows a lot about that being in print too.
Yeah, I mean, I think I see a lot of variation in color, and I'm pretty good with that. I once had a client who was arguing with me about a color of green, and then after we changed it 30 times, admitted that she was colorblind. Oh yeah,
Are you serious?
I'm very
Oh,
serious.
no, that's
I'm very serious.
on.
That was really a tough moment in.
Oh,
well,
Your
I
career.
wonder if it's like, is it your literal eyes that don't see it, or have you just not trained yourself to see it? You know what I'm
No.
saying?
you know,
Like,
I
some-
think
no,
literal
some people-
eyes can't see it.
well, I mean, I
Yeah.
know color blindness. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about color blindness.
Oh.
I'm just talking about like seeing a range. You know, they say like some people see a broader scope of colors. Is that a learned thing, or is that
I don't know.
like
It
the
could-
literal biology?
There probably is like a part of it that is like how observant you are and how much you want to like find that nuance within it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway.
I guess that. And I think like mixing your own colors, or like doing like just taking some paints. I mean, Taryn, you know all about this too. Like mixing some paints and like figuring
Screw
out
them up.
how to
Teaches
add a
you a
little bit
lot.
more yellow,
Yeah.
or when to add a little bit of a contrasting color to really kind of dull something out. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of play involved in color and learning about color and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
about
you
it.
start combining them with other colors, and then it all looks different again.
Oh my
It's pretty
gosh.
maddening,
Yeah.
but interesting.
I think everyone should take an intro to color class that you have to take at art school. It's
That's
a
good.
really,
Yeah.
it's a really eye-opening experience. Or like just get a whole bunch of color swatches from the paint store and put them next to each other, because that red is going to look totally different when you throw a green next to it versus when you throw a blue next to it, when you throw a purple next to it, or like a duller color. Yeah.
Well, I guess that is in
because
in a
one
sense
color
how
affects the
paint
other.
is, where it's like the light. You know, they say that like the light in Florida is like very clear, and so vibrant colors look better, whereas the light in say like New York
Mhm.
is, you know,
Gray.
more gray, and then like the light everywhere is different, so the colors are going to look different because of the light that's on them.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly why there's no one size fits all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us some things that in your mind would just like always work in a house that you're wanting to feature, like things that people can kind of go to as classics if they do want to kind of, you know, elevate their space.
Pairs, like buying things like 2 matching consoles or 2 matching lamps.
You're like,
What?
It's like
Yeah,
the fruit.
Yeah, no, not partlet pears.
She's going
PAIR. Yeah.
I was still on the food train. I'm
Yeah.
so
really
sorry.
about
Yeah, you're like, is this girl a vegan? but anything in pairs, I think that's easy. Like some decorators be like, that's boring, but I think it gives continuity and it just instantly sort of frames things up.
I do think that, especially about lamps. Like if you find a great lamp, you need to buy 2 of that lamp.
Right.
You can
and
always
the lamp
separate the lamp. Well, yeah. But like you can always separate your lamps. But if you do have the perfect spot for a lamp, sometimes you have to have 2.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna, you know.
And I think I actually like to use pairs because, and I also like to repeat elements. Like I like to use the same hardware for most of the house because I think it just gives it continuity. Like throughout the house, like most people, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of energy happening in a house. So especially if you're somebody that has a lot of guests, like you just need to, you don't need to be figuring out how to use the fixture, the faucet for the shower for the first time because you have no idea how to do it. Like just do the same thing. I mean, you can do like a little bit better, but I like those things for continuity. And I think those feel like when you're doing a whole house and it's down to the nuts and bolts and it's crazy and you're lost in the weeds and you're picking out like toilet paper holders, like you shouldn't really stress about that. Just do all the same. But as far as for a room, you always want to make sure you have the right size window treatments. Those can really throw a room. So I would say spend money on the construction and the accurate size, even if it's just like the cheapest cotton. You want to make sure they fit. And with the curtains, I keep looking at our future decorating dilemma. If y'all are wondering where I'm looking. You know, you want to make sure that the curtains are hung right, somewhere between the top of the window and the top and the bottom of the crown. Make your room really seem bigger. Because you go into a lot of rooms and they've like truncated their whole window, or like, God forbid, somehow their curtain rod's hanging like across the top of the window. That's crazy looking.
Like it's cutting out. It's below the top of the window molding.
Yes. And you're just like, what? Like, did your husband not get a ladder? Like, what's happening here?
They didn't buy long enough panels, I assume.
Yeah. Like, spend the money on the custom curtains or do Roman shades or just really inexpensive bamboo blinds. The other, and I'm giving you more like decorating tricks than items. We can go back to items and make a room.
This is great.
You want to have the right size rug. 2 small rugs, just nothing's ever going to feel right.
And it makes your room look smaller.
Yeah.
Most people want their room to look bigger.
Yeah.
Right. You know? And you never really want it to look smaller. So
well, yeah. And you're cramming furniture on a really small rug and it just sort of feels like nobody wants to go sit in that like deserted island section of the room. So yeah, I would say make sure your scale and proportions of items are correct. And then even if you have to use less expensive materials to get that bigger rug or those right size curtains, make that cut. And then don't hang artwork like up from the rafters or down by your feet. And then I always love beautiful mirrors, like really old, crusty ones. With
But you can't actually see yourself in.
I was going to say, like, the wavier the reflection, the better.
I like that, yeah.
And then right size lighting. But now, I don't know, I kind of think oversized lighting's kind of out. I'm kind of into the really small lighting right now.
Really? Like, give us an example.
Like, I just picked out this really cool vintage stained glass fixture for this foyer. And there's a lot of color in the house, but there's no color in the foyer. But the stained glass fixture, I think it's a tube basically or cylinder, and it's like 10 by 4. Whereas like 2 years ago, it would have been like, let's do a big lantern. I'm kind of liking the underscaled for lighting. I think it feels a little fresher these days. But then the timeless pieces that you can't go wrong with, everybody needs a comfortable sofa.
Yeah.
Like just new upholstery all the way. It's pretty for seating, for like to watch the game or watch TV. You really want a new sofa and chairs.
Is tricky because I feel like everyone just like color. Everyone's definition of sorry.
Oh, I forgot. Oh my gosh,
as soon as I said that, I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah, sorry.
Kelly was like pushing it with air.
That's true. No, I was just gonna say that it is interesting because I do think that is an extremely personal choice because everyone's definition of what's comfortable is different, you know?
It is. And people are all different shapes and sizes.
Yeah. So what do you do with your clients? Do you take them to the...
I try to.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a 6'4" man's not going to sit the same as a 5'1" woman. And I'm 5'1". So, like, I have no business picking out your sofa husband. But so I did have a client that literally had that same problem. And so we did a custom sofa, and that was great. So they could go, like, it was bench made in New York. So they could go to the workroom and sit on it, and he could tweak it so it worked for both of them. It's a pretty extreme example, but that's a pretty extreme size difference. But you learn a lot about pitch, seating, and people want to sit differently. Like some people want to really recline. Some people really want to like sit upright.
Yeah.
So again, that's another like not one size fits all approach. But the general tip I would give for people listening that's pretty easy is think if you want like a cushion back or if you want a fitted back for sofas and chairs. So do you want that? Like a Chesterfield is more of a fit. I mean, it's tufted, but it's more of a fitted back sofa.
Right.
But then typically English roll arms have that extra set of cushions. And then there's the endless debate of do you want the bench seat cushion or do you want 3 cushions? And I kind of go back and forth.
Yeah. A bench seat can look really nice, but then sometimes it kind of,
Yeah, it's not gonna
it can look
as
lumpy.
long. Yeah.
Right.
So there's that question. So I've been doing a lot of split seats, so 2 seat cushions and either 1 or 2 on the back.
Yeah. Okay, I was thinking recently, well, when you were saying that, I was just thinking I feel like now so many people do sectionals, but having like different types of seating in your room would probably help if you sit differently than other people in your house. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got a sofa that maybe fits you, but then you've got like a big armchair that is like your...
Yeah.
I feel like so many times now people go right to the sectional. We're just in a very sectional kind of
And I
world these days.
don't do many sectionals.
Yeah.
I do a lot of the 2 sofas facing each other with the chair and ottoman arrangement. That seems to work. I like chairs because I think more. Yeah, I would just rather sit in a chair. And I
sit
think
in the
guests
chair.
would rather sit in the chair. So then everybody's kind of clamoring for who gets the chair because you don't really want to cram a bunch of people on a sofa,
Right.
generally. But then for a couple or a family, like they'll each get a sofa at night. I think it's really how that goes down.
You stay on your sofa over there.
Yes, so I've been told 1,000 times. So yes, I think that's a little safer than the sectional.
Yeah.
For me. And the sectionals are just so giant.
Yeah. They're limiting too if you ever going to move because whatever configuration works in your current house.
Yeah. Well, for a sectional though, I will say I do like to eliminate as many seat cushions as possible to streamline that. Because I mean, you can end up with like 12 seat cushions if it's super long and wrapping and then everything.
What about your back cushions?
Right. Then you have that many usually and then everything's like kind of a rear so then it looks messy. I try and eliminate anything that's going to look messy on the front end.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah, but if you have kids, that would make a great fort.
Right.
Pillow
It
fort.
can be good and bad.
Yeah, it's true.
Is there anything? Oh my God, it drives me insane. I feel like as soon as I finish like fluffing and straightening, I'll like for a week just be like, no, I'm just not going to straighten the pillows. They're just going to get messed up. And then I immediately, one day I'll straighten it. And then immediately it's like, oh, wait, the couch is straight. It's time to build a fort. You had all week to build a fort. Anyway.
Well, I've kind of started calling my kid my home stylist. And so he takes pride in it and we'll go in. And I was like, okay, your chore for today is to style out the living room. And he'll go in and he'll do it. It's great.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
I
sounds
like
like
that.
a marketing campaign. I
It
can
is so
get behind.
good. It is so good. And I'm like, you did great. All right. You're
That's
good at
awesome.
this.
You have a home stylist?
Yeah. A 16-year-old. It's great.
Oh, I'm like, wait, is that a new job?
No. No, it's my kid.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's
I
such
just
a
started
better.
calling him my stylist. And then he's like taking it there.
A
Yeah.
16-year-old is going to do a
It's
much
totally
better
good.
job than my 5-year-old.
No, that's true. But
We
start
have
him
some
early.
years.
I know. And give it a fun name. That like totally changes things.
Yeah.
It's not
We're
chores.
smart.
Home
Yeah.
styling.
Styling. Yeah.
Right.
Time to home style.
Yeah. I would have been,
Part of your chores.
I
It's
would've been
great.
way more excited.
Let's talk about leaving the world of shelter magazines
Okay.
and magazines and branching out on your own. What prompted that change?
Okay. So what did prompt that change? So magazines were my dream job. I used to obsessively read magazines before I could read. So that was really what I always wanted to do. But then just the reality was the industry was changing. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew that I needed to come up with a plan. And out of nowhere, somebody called me and asked me if I would decorate their house, which I'd never really done that. I'd done my own house, which is tiny. But this person, I don't even think knew that. Somebody just told him that he thought we would work well together. And so he just bought this house and it was like 12,000 square feet and it needed to be gutted. And he called me one day when I was having a bad work day. And I was like, yeah, I'll come and I'll meet you. And then I was like, this is crazy. Like, I don't really want to do this. And and that's what I said. And I said, but I feel like no's the wrong answer here. And I don't know how to do this, but it can't be rocket science. And so then it just started from there. So I had that going on for a while. But that was really like it's like fever pitch of the project actually being under construction. And when that happened, or while that project was reaching its fever pitch, I got a new job in Atlanta to run Atlanta Homes and Lifestyles because I was just ready for a change. And then COVID happened. This house is under construction. And so I was leading webinars and I was kind of like doing all these crazy things from my computer and just staring into my black screen for I didn't know how much longer. And I had fallen asleep on a Zoom call. And I was just like, I don't think that the universe thinks I should be like at a desktop or at a laptop computer anymore. So I left there and was just like, well, everybody else is making crazy changes. Like the world's shut down. So from there, I really started, I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I had this decorating project and then other people had started calling me for those. So I started doing decorating and then I'd never really had free time because I traveled so much. So I had all these people, these friends that were always inviting me places. And when you work in magazines, you meet great people. So I had some friends that own this company called Stray Dog Designs. It's in Mexico. They manufacture in San Miguel.
Yes. Yeah. I have some of their sconces. I love their
They're great. Yeah. It's really colorful and they're fun. And I've always known them for a long time, Billy and Jane Gray. And then I have a lot of friends in New Orleans. And for whatever reason, they've all kind of moved to Mexico City in like different phases. So I was like, hey, I've never really taken you up on your offer to come to Mexico. So I'm finally going to do that. And nobody was flying. So because people were like, what are you doing? Like, you're nuts. Like, you're going to, I was like, I can't sit here and do nothing. And like, I can't walk around my neighborhood anymore. So I went to Mexico and I saw a bunch of textiles in San Miguel that I really hadn't seen anywhere else. And they're totally different from what I think people think of as my aesthetic. So they're like real clean and colorful, but they feel kind of European and they're not formal. So then I bought everything I could from the market and bought this plastic bag to carry everything. And then I took a bus to Mexico City and didn't see anything like it in Mexico City. So I was like, that's crazy. I'll just reach out to this guy I met at the market and see if he can send me everything. And then it turned out that he couldn't send me anything because they were all made in Oaxaca. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just go to Oaxaca. Like I've got time on my hands. So I went there and then hired a craft guide and took my mother with me. Who was in culture shock for like 2 days. And then we went out to all these villages with the craft guide and I bought what the makers had there because it was important to me to meet who I was going to work with and pay them directly. And I did this pop-up on Cinco de Mayo and I didn't tell anybody I was doing it because everybody already, I think, kind of thought I'd lost my mind. I'd like quit my job. I'd been doing this big secret decorating project for like 9 months. At this point, they were just like, oh my God, what is she doing?
Now she's rambling through Mexico.
Yeah. And I didn't tell anybody I'd taken buses or like if they would have died. I guess they're all going to know now. So I didn't tell anybody. I bought everything I could. And then I did this pop-up on Cinco de Mayo. So I started calling it El Shoppo. And the pop-up actually sold out. And then I went back in August and September and started doing all this product design. So then I got all the products like late spring of last year. So that's where I am on this El Chapo thing. So I'm kind of doing 40% El Chapo, 60% decorating. And then I still do some magazine freelance. And so the decorating's fun. If you hire me for a decorator, I think it's a different experience. So I've been told, not that that's bad or good. I mean, I spend a lot of time in storage units.
Like storage units
What
of
have you got in
antique
these storage
dealers
units?
or
They're storage units.
Okay.
So I feel like I like end up using a lot of people's things or wanting to use their things. Like right now I have some clients with a great art collection, like a great folk art collection, which I think most people are afraid of folk art. But I like folk art. It feels really real. So they have this great folk art collection that feels very them. So it's going to be figuring out, and then they have a lot of antiques and things, how to figure out this really rustic but colorful folk art. in their house. But the house is very cool.
Mm-hmm. That's in Birmingham too.
Mm-hmm.
So what did do you feel like being an editor like informed being a decorator now? Like, do you feel like the type of decorator you are is because you were an editor for so many years?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because you're always kind of thinking about what the room. I think everybody. I think most designers probably start with a floor plan, which now I do too. But I tend, like when it's a whole house, I'm thinking more through the focal points, like it would be a photo shoot. So, but I mean, like from the design perspective, like, okay, we're going to walk in the front door and like that needs to be a moment with impact. Like then you go to the left and whatever you see there needs to be one. So it kind of starts like that. So I think that's where when I think of things in pairs, that's where that comes from. And then working with, I like the story of their things and like things to have a story. So I use a lot of antiques and whatnot. And interesting textiles. So yeah, and like I want to like know why they have this stuff. I've been told I talk a lot more than the average decorator. But like I want to know everything.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like a reporter type.
Yeah. Well,
That's awesome.
You know, journalism. You kind of have that.
Yeah. And I can like cross-examine people with questions.
Well, I've always wondered, you know, so many designers talk about you have to get to know your client. And I mean, sure, you can send them a survey. Right. Like a questionnaire and have them fill out something. But, you know, are people going to be truthful? Do they really
and
know
they don't really want to
Yeah.
do it and they don't know how to talk about it. So you're better off just talking to them and listening to them. I ask them for their favorite hotels a lot where they like to go on vacation. That helps. Like what they do for fun. But when you ask people like what they do for fun, I feel like they need to tell you like something really interesting. But like really like some people for what they do for fun is they just like watch TV and that's fine. That means the den's going to be really important. So people aren't really honest in that regard. So it's really just trying to get to know them. And then I tell everybody that hires me, like, I don't want your house to look like me. Your house shouldn't look like me. And like, I don't care if your favorite color is purple. And I do like purple, but let's say I hate purple. Like, I'm just here to make sure like your purple works. And I tell people I'm here to make sure their house doesn't look schizophrenic. You might need to edit that out. But like, I want it all to feel like, I'm here to make sure your house feels cohesive. And not like a crazy fun house.
Yeah. Not like you threw a bunch of random things together.
Yeah. Like there's a limit to your mix and match. There really is.
Right. Do you feel like that's something people make a mistake on?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Like to get mixing and matching right is actually really hard.
Right.
And it really takes a lot of discipline. And to get color, which they're like, what? Why? But to get like color and pattern right, it's a lot of balance. I mean, basically all good design needs to be in some kind of harmony. So if you're going to have like a big wild pattern, you're going to have to counteract that with a lot of small patterns if you really want it to be livable. Unless you want like I wouldn't advise doing bold multicolored curtains in a room with all white walls and expect to still like those curtains in 4 years. Because that's all you're going to see when you walk in that room. And curtains are expensive.
Yeah.
And decorating's expensive and it's really labor intensive.
Right.
It would make me sad to think that people just throw everything away in 3 years. But maybe that's what I need to embrace.
I think like 3 years, I'm like, I think of things I bought 10 years ago and I'm like, oh, I just bought that. You know? Right. But it was like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm like, that new shirt from Zara in 2014 that pre-pandemic, I guess, is old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people that do crazy things in bathrooms and kitchens.
Like I was going to say.
Well, just like really modern, trendy things. And I'm like, you know, now you go in these houses, or I'm in a lot of them where I'm like, oh, that strange beige square tile. It's like so 1998. Like you never want to walk into a house and think like, oh, this was that time period.
Right. Well, it is interesting. Like, I think so many people are so averse to like those elements from the 80s, the 90s, you know, whatever. But then do the thing that is so right now. You know what I mean? And so it's like, well, you're just creating the same situation you're trying to get
like time
out
capsule.
of. Right. You know, like whether it's, and I think it is hard to know what is that thing, but you know, like maybe it was 5 years ago, it was like, or 7 years ago, it was like farmhouse where everything had to have a bin pull and a rustic wood and the thing. And it's hard to know what is that thing of the moment.
Yeah. I think if you want to find that thing at the moment, you go on Instagram and you go on Pinterest. And like once it's just ubiquitous there, you don't touch it.
Yeah. That is true. I do find as I've gotten older, the more stuff that I buy for my house is things I don't see elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, if I see it everywhere, then I'm already that much closer to being tired of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas if you never see it, then you're...
Well, that's when I think it just comes to, and this is what I think is a role of a decorator, because a lot of people really have no idea. I think it's your job to help them find their taste. And if it's bad taste, you're there to help them make it better. And taste is generally not trendy. So like I have a client right now that loves yellow. And I'm like, yes, we're going to like have a lot of yellow in this house. Like if that makes you happy, that's great. Clearly I like that weird green color. And also, I also like houses that are original. Like cookie cutter, that's great. But you should probably edit
like
that
the
out.
Furnishings are original or the actual architecture of the house is original? So
I feel like most people that end up in home stuff, I grew up in an old house, like rah, rah, rah. We've all heard that story. But there was always something really sad to me when I would go to other neighborhoods and I would think, wow. And I guess I wasn't like 10 when I was thinking this, but when I was like 24, really. And I would think, wow, if I got kind of drunk, I could end up at my neighbor's house accidentally. Like I never, when they all look exactly the same. And I was just like, God, I never want to have that house. Like, why can't they just like paint their garden home? Like, why does it have to all be exposed brick? Like, I financially, I totally understand that now. But yeah. And then I assume that you walk in and all of that's like all white. And but at the same time, I also understand why people live in all white. It's easy and it will work every time. And when you're busy and like, again, like furniture is expensive, like you don't want to make mistakes.
Yeah, but it's also, I don't know, it is hard to maintain. Color and pattern is a lot more forgiving.
You mean like object wise?
Well, I'm more thinking of like upholstery and rugs and stuff.
So I don't know. So I have this client that's as researcher reportery as me, and the wife really wanted all white sofas. And they have 3 little boys. And I was like, well, I talked to my furniture rep, which was Wesley Hall. I can't think if it was Krypton or what it was. Like they say that this will hold up to stains. And he was like, okay, like, do you mind if we like keep the swatches, like the design presentation overnight and think about things? And I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. So he went and did a bunch of experiments on them before he committed. And they worked. He said he did red wine, barbecue sauce. I mean, I was kind of horrified.
Yes, no, you can get it out.
Yeah, but it worked.
No, but my thing is, yes, you can get it out, but then you do have to get it out.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you've got like a white couch, then you always have to be cleaning your white couch. Whereas if you have some color and pattern, some of those stains are like a little bit more. Maybe this is really disgusting.
What we're finding out about you is you're really filthy.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess because we do have like it's not a white couch, but it's a oatmeal color.
Yeah.
Dried oatmeal.
Yeah.
Pre-cooked or post-cooked? I'm kidding.
Oatmeal with some milk in it, maybe. But it's just, it does show stuff more where it's, even if it's just like a smudge of dirt.
Yeah.
So then you do have to get out your toothbrush.
Yeah, you got to be really vigilant.
Yeah. Where I feel like something that has a little bit more texture and color, it's like, if I spilled coffee, yes, I would still clean it up. But like sometimes a very small thing is less noticeable.
You might be running late. I don't know. I think a lot of that too also depends on the weave of the fabric.
Yeah, true.
If you have a lot of depth and dimension in your fabric, that'll hide more.
Yeah.
Those like plain white linen sofas. Yeah, I am like, oh gosh.
So you just are going to always be cleaning it.
Yeah.
It'll come out, but you do have to clean it a lot.
Yeah. But like what you're saying, it hides dirt. Sometimes in the last year, I've gotten a lot of requests for people that want black kitchen cabinets.
Well, that doesn't hide dirt though either. Black's not forgiving.
Well, I am by no means a clean freak, and I like fully test the boundaries on food safety and expiration dates. But something about black kitchen cabinets, I'm like, no.
Well, I would think that like pure white. I mean, think about if you've got like white pants and black pants. White pants do show every stain, but so do black pants. Think about like if you come near a golden retriever or like you empty the lint tray in your dryer.
Well,
like,
I'm just thinking of like dust and dirt that would be built up in the corners of those.
Right.
Black.
Yeah.
I don't think it would show. I think you'd lose a lot of it in the black. I think the black would hide it. What do y'all think?
Oh, I feel like black is not super forgiving, just like white's not super forgiving. Just because like things.
I personally feel like these people need to clean their house more. I have dark green cabinets, and when flour and such falls on them,
Right.
like
Okay.
you can see it. And so I spend a lot of time wiping mine down. And that, again, I have 2 small kids, so like, and I'm filthy. So mix of 4 filthy people and dog, like they needed wiping down. But I don't know. I mean, I have a black cabinet upstairs, and it's still like you can see the hand marks from shutting it, after.
Yeah.
So I think it's a no-win.
Well, you tell us, you got that black tile in your shower. How is that? How does that do with?
That's been fine. It's been the same.
It's just the painted surface that's smudges. I mean, that's
black tile's been fine. Yeah, I'm not afraid of black, but I could be stylish. I don't know. I mean, whatever I like.
I like black. Just black kitchen cabinets. I don't know. But maybe I'll reconsider.
We need to hear
it
from
depends
someone.
how much cabinetry and how much light for me. Like, I could see this going like...
Yeah, it was a galley kitchen interior. So it had one small window.
So maybe that's it. The fact that you're like, this is just going to, like, is that what you
sounds
want
really heavy.
for a space that you need to work in? Like, there's a working part to a kitchen.
Well, do you remember Miles? Miles Red has this very well photographed black lacquer. It's not really a kitchen. It's more, his kitchen is black.
I don't know if he cooks, but it's his
I was
kitchen.
going to say, I don't know if you can count that as real life maintenance.
And it's lacquer, so
I know it's beautiful.
Yeah,
but I think he has a door and a window. I think there's a window and a door.
But it's still,
just meaning he gets light and the lacquer bounces off the light.
Yes.
So, but it was kind of dark in there. You're right.
But it's
Oh, it's gorgeous.
very elegant.
But yeah, you know the points.
Wow.
But back to your fabric.
Beautiful.
I know what you mean by like, a big, busy floral would hide some more.
Even just like some gradient to a fabric to me is just a little bit more.
Yeah, it gives it some depth to the room too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh no. No. Let it go. You're not into white sofas.
So what is coming? I mean, I think they look fabulous in theory.
Oh yeah. They will always look fresh upon arrival.
Yeah.
On arrival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Check back in 2 years. I don't know. Actually, the guy that did the experiment, his still look pretty good. I checked on those.
Yeah. And there's always like a Stanley steamer or someone you come professionally clean your house and you just know going into it, like, okay, twice a year, I'm going to have the guy come steam clean my sofa. And, but that's the price I'm willing to pay to.
What is your
have a white
favorite?
sofa?
What is your favorite color sofa then?
Are you asking me or her?
You. Caroline.
Everyone here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, probably something mid-toned that's not a pattern, but like or what would I buy? Is that, or what is my favorite?
What'd you buy?
What would I buy? I think I have like an oatmeal color and then I have one that's like more of a kind of a camel.
Yeah, so you stayed middle.
Yeah, I went pretty basic, boring, but I feel like a mid-tone is a little bit more. I'm only talking about not design-wise too, just like maintenance-wise. No? You have white couches. What do you think of yours?
I have white and I clean them often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's truth. And I clean them when I need, like, again, depending on who's there and when.
You take your seat cushion off and you machine wash it.
Yes, unless you ask the manufacturer, in which case then I just spot clean it. Okay. But yes, there's a zipper on the back, so I just unzip it and throw it in the wash. Yeah.
Huh.
But it doesn't help the skirt. The skirt, I have to break out the little green machine, and the arm is fitted or whatever too. So that all I have to get out that guy. Mm-hmm. So it's no win.
How often would you say you're cleaning it? Like once a month?
Yeah. Probably. But again, I have 2 small boys who are eating snacks on there, and there are shoes. Yeah. Like, I can't help the life that happens on mine.
Right.
By the way I set up the house. So yeah, I think I would have probably gone with a pattern. But I at the time was not done with my home, and we were trying to order under a certain timeline to get them, and that was a mistake. Like, I should have waited and kind of figured out a plan.
And it's always better to wait, even though that's so hard.
What is your sofa?
My sofa is pink.
Ooh.
And it's actually pretty forgiving. It's a warm pink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've gotten some ketchup out of it. It's not stain resistant or anything. Doesn't really show dog hair. It's been it'd be hard to sell people on pink sofas, but it is very forgiving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like pink a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We do too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, it's a little warmer than the wallpaper in here.
Uh-huh.
What
about you, Liz?
Oh, my turn. I've got a leather sofa that I love.
Oh.
And so that's in my living room. And then in our family room, I've got my eyes on a sectional that we sell that has a sleeper sofa, because I have to use that room as a guest room as well. And I'm looking at green, like a dark green performance fabric.
Yeah.
That'll be pretty.
Yeah.
I've done some green.
And it's got a little bit of iridescence to it. So
Isn't that new fabric?
no, it's the Parkton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
You know what other fabric I really like for sofas that I've been doing? And it feels kind of retro, but I like it. But it always holds up. And I grew up with one like this. So that was the idea, I guess, where I got it. That's where I got it. Corduroy.
We had a corduroy sofa too.
You did? Oh my gosh.
did
You
too.
might be the same person. Mine was navy blue.
It was olive green.
Pretty
Darn.
close. It wasn't a green room. The den was green and brick. Yeah, I've been
Green,
doing a
brick,
lot.
and navy.
It was the 90s. I think there was a duck painting.
There had to have
Oh, I'm
been.
sure there was.
There was a mallard for sure.
Yeah. Maybe like
With those
3.
colors.
Actually, I'm like mentally turning around in the room. There were mallard printed curtains. Yeah. But so I've been using a lot of corduroy.
Yeah, we have a corduroy fabric that we have put on a sofa and it looks really good. It's a pretty wide corduroy.
Yeah, I used a wide whale like Kelly green corduroy on a pair of chairs, and that was fun. They were tough.
That is awesome.
That sounds really fun. Tufting with the stripe. That's tricky.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture. It's the same client where I hit my head there.
Where are we on time over there? Okay. And we do need
Yeah. So let's do the.
Well, we talked about El Chapo. Is there anything else you want to do? What's coming up with El Chapo before we transition to our decorating dilemma?
I would like to focus on smaller trunk shows for right now. So let me know if anybody wants to host, and really growing the website and just that e-commerce.
Okay.
So please go to Shop El Chapo.
All right.
On Instagram.
Okay. We do have a question to answer from David. Okay, I'm going to read David's question, and you're going to take a stab at it, Zoe.
All right. Just one stab.
Hello. I was wondering if you guys would be interested in helping me with my library. It's very small and originally used as a piano room. We purchased our house a few years ago, and I would describe it as a coastal, rambling bungalow with a Federalist-style twist. The library is off the dining room. The dining room has a panoramic Dixie-style mural on the walls that has to stay. It's very green. I originally painted the library mahogany from Farrow and Ball, but I chose the estate emulsion and I ended up putting tons of holes in the wall and screwed it up. The room is just too dark and I want to incorporate perhaps celestial yellow or maybe digital purple. Love staying ahead. If you had your druthers, what would you do with this room? I have too much furniture to list, but I will have it professionally painted. Also, I want to keep the trim and bookshelf white because I just feel like white trim is making a comeback. Please let me know if you need any more info. Enclosed is a picture of the space. P.S. There are 3 built-in bookcases or bookshelves on the entrance side of the room. If I need to add more to make it a lot more library-esque, then maybe it could be a cocktail room.
Okay. Hey, David. I would like to see your house.
I know,
Sounds
right?
great. Coastal rambling bungalow with the federal twist. I think I would add bookshelves to make it a library, but not at the expense of sacrificing your windows.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the idea of yellow to go with your mural, but I think instead of yellow, because I think that will feel really harsh. Like I think you're thinking yellow with all those federal style houses, but since you're on the coast, I would tweak it and lighten it up, and I would do more of I would paint your walls more of a cantaloupe-y kind of tangerine color that I think would lighten everything up, but you'd still have this cozy little library. I'm a little unclear on what furniture is actually in your room from the photo that you sent. So if you do the cantaloupe colored walls, you might have to move your burgundy, your red upholstered furniture out. Or if you want to keep that red furniture, then I would probably go more in your digital purple direction. Because I think either the cantaloupe or the purple, I think would really flow well with your mural, which I really like your mural. I'm guessing you're in Virginia, David. I always like to guess where people are. It's the dorky editor of me. And yeah, I would get a rug to really fill up your cozy library. I think people always feel more comfortable when their feet are on something soft. And yeah, I would definitely keep your trim white. Well, you can never go wrong with white trim.
You know what? I feel like he's done a really good job in his dining room. I think that the chairs, the Parsons chair, I like that, the light fixture. Like,
it's pretty great.
And I like it with the slip covered Parsons, although those have like a rollback.
Yeah.
So I think it's really nice. I wonder who did the mural. Did David do the mural?
David, you're going to have to write back to us.
I know.
David, we need to know.
Did it come with a house? Did you do it? Is it wallpaper? Which way are we going?
So, okay. Are you thinking adding a rug also in the dining room? What do you think he needs to do in the dining room specifically?
Oh, wait. I thought our dilemma was just on the reading room.
Okay.
The library.
Okay. Maybe you're right. Yes, you're right.
It is. Caroline just wanted to fix everything.
I would do just a big sisal in the dining room. And then you could do the same thing in the reading room library. I think since the reading room library is smaller, he could do like a really cool oriental or a pattern in there. I don't think I would do a stripe in the reading room because that seems too casual for the oil portraits. But I think if he lightens it all up with more of a cantaloupe color, I think that'll feel more appropriate to the beach and will work well with the dining room, where he has done such a good job in the dining room of contrasting the formal and the more casual.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the reading room just feels a little more serious. So how to temper that?
So really that chandelier he has, in that reading room is...
It's like a combination of the chandelier and the velvet and the
very
and like all the gold mirrors.
Yeah.
It
and
feels
the gilded
very,
frames. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe he should try to hang the horizontal mirror vertically.
Yeah.
So that they don't all read as one
portrait
gilded
unit.
It's like it needs to be broken up again. Even if that mirror hangs behind the sofa, I think would be fine. As long as it comes up above the ones on the side. You know what I mean? Because it's like all two. It's not exactly the same level, but it's that's a good point.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny landscape looking.
Okay, here's a pet peeve of mine. I feel like very rarely do mirrors look good in landscape.
Interesting take.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there are examples where they look great.
They look great. Sorry, is that really loud? They look great. I'm thinking about this for another project. They look great at landscapes and like French bistros.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm looking for a mirror for something to do something like that.
I just always see one horizontal. I'm like, I want to turn that up and down. Like, don't you always want your room to be taller? And I feel like that. I don't know why. Sorry.
Yeah, mirrors can really have a ton of impact. People don't realize how much impact a mirror will have on a room. It's basically adding another window.
Liz, you're giving me a very quizzical look.
I'm always really amazed when you make these like bold statements like this, and I was trying to figure out like where you're coming from with this. But I love I do think like it does work in like a bistro type environment where you are trying to emulate a window like over a banquette or an extra long sofa or something like that. But no, in general,
I don't have any reasoning. It's just a gut reaction.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's really, and I just think that's really funny.
Gut reaction. I get that. I don't really. This is scandalous. I don't really like chandeliers over seating areas ever.
Oh.
I'm just like, is that going to fall in my head? I mean, it's not, but do you
Unless
really
it's like
need
a
something?
really, really tall? What about like in a double height living room? Or like a
Maybe,
vaulted
but
living room?
sometimes I look at them and I think, do you really need that hanging over your head?
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel kind of childlike, like a mobile? And like, I love a mobile. But yeah.
I feel like that
Interesting.
makes sense.
Okay. Well, the chandelier that David has in his room is definitely a focal point,
Mm-hmm.
and it's drawing you in to that space.
I think I'm such a lamp lady.
You know, lamps, more
Love a
lamps
lamp.
are really gonna
It does
help
have
make
those-
it feel that
Those
library
two
vibe.
lamps.
Oh
those-
yeah,
I mean, they're hard to see because they're casting all the light down.
That light fixture also, with all those circles, is making some not strange, but really busy reflections on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's a way, if he wants to keep the light fixture, he removes those circles and then it's just a drum shade.
Mm-hmm.
that's really interesting. Yeah, my eye keeps going to the shadows that it's creating on the ceiling, and I keep looking past the thing.
Yeah.
I keep having to physically draw my eyes down
Yeah.
back into the
The
room.
room feels a little witchy. Like, I want to get my tarot cards read here. But
It's definitely,
maybe this is
it's definitely a
Louisiana.
bit of a club vibe.
yeah, that feels like a club where I'm going to like have some drinks and maybe talk about my tarot card reading. And then the dining room feels more like I'm here for Mai Tais and shrimp and grits.
Mm-hmm.
So
That sounds like
Find a way
a
to
whole lot
merge
of
them.
fun. David, your house is fun.
I'm drinking.
That sounds like an eventful day.
Did you just hear him? He's like, oh my God, they got my vibe.
I know, right?
I love it.
Right.
I love
Who
it.
are these people?
That's awesome. Thank you for writing in with such a fun and sharing your home. It's
Okay, so we
Yes.
said let's sum it up.
Wait.
We said cantaloupe as a wall color, unless he wants to keep the burgundy upholstery.
Mm-hmm.
Add a rug, possibly an oriental with some pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Turn the mirror vertical, and then possibly remove either the light fixture entirely or the little circles on the light fixture, or maybe just kind of think that and generally try to dress it down a tiny bit so
Yes.
that it flows better with the dining.
Yeah, I think so. And I think he could just if he wants to keep the pieces, he could just slip cover them.
Oh, that's a great point.
I wonder too if he even just like he could slip cover them differently, like
Right. Like
the
different
sofa
pattern.
in
Mhm.
one fabric, and then the chair is something else, so that it's not so uniform, I guess. And he could even do like, I don't know, maybe like something real casual, slip covered on the slipper chair, and then like reupholster the sofa or something.
Oh, yeah. The options are endless.
Yeah.
For sure. I wish I could see more of the room, David.
Mm-hmm.
And we also said to add more bookcases.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Bookcases and lamps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's your checklist.
Oh, I think that
Best of
that's
luck.
a really great
Yeah.
checklist.
And
That's
tell us
great.
where you are, David.
Yeah.
I think you're in Virginia.
I liked the
I don't know.
Louisiana guess. I felt like that was
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
with the vibe you're giving and the day that you would spend in that room, it was
This room says
totally
Virginia.
Louisiana.
This room says New Orleans.
the library says New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's great.
That room says absent.
All right, Sazerac for all.
Yeah. All right. Well, Zoe, thank you so much.
Oh
I'm
my-
so glad we finally got you here.
Thank you. Thanks for
Promise
having
yours.
me.
Yes.
It's been fun.
Can you tell everyone where they can find you and follow you and see your work?
Yes. So on for decorating, you can find me online at just zoegowen.com. There's also some story clips. It needs to be updated, full disclosure. And then for El Chapo, you can find me there online at just elchapo.com. And then on Instagram at shop El Chapo. So that's just SHOPELSHOPPO.
Shop El Shoppo.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and then the website's just elshoppo.com. It's easy to remember.
Yes, that's good. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
This was fun.
I know. I keep talking forever.
We will.
And that's our show. You can find all of the show notes on our blog, howtodecorate.com/podcast.
To send in a decorating dilemma, email your questions to podcast@ballarddesigns.net so we can help you with your space.
And of course, be sure to follow us on social media at Ballard Designs.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Until next time, happy
Happy
decorating.